In today's video, we are talking about the 7 different choices that I made that helped me build real wealth over time. I am Tiffany Thomas, your wealth mentor. I achieved financial freedom in my 30s and became a millionaire at 40. I'm here to help you do that even earlier and easier and without bias, since I do not work for any third parties. And if you are interested in working with me and building up your net worth to a 7-figure net worth, I have a coaching program. I will leave a link below. You can check out the link and get the details on my coaching program. All right, let's dive into these 7 different choices that I have made over my years in order to build real wealth. And the first choice that I made was to save my money. And I did this by automating this process. So I went to, when I had my 9-to-5 job, I went to my HR director and asked him to set up an auto transfer, a certain percentage from my paycheck that would go directly to my checking account, and then a certain percentage that would go directly to my savings account, so that I could completely automate my savings. And I feel like by making this choice, that was kind of the beginning of me being able to build real wealth over time. And if I hadn't saved my money, then I would not be able to make the second choice that I made, and that was to buy my first property. I had saved up enough money in order to have a down payment for a property, and this was a townhome. It's a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath. So it wasn't a single family home, but nonetheless, it was a great setup so that I could have roommates. And that was actually my third choice that I made. I made the choice to have roommates. And I'm really, really glad I did this and actually still do this, because I've been able to save even more money because I'm collecting extra income every single month from my roommates. So I was able to purchase my property, and I had to pay the mortgage on my property. But since I had roommates, they helped pay for the cost of my mortgage. And by doing that, I was able to create some wealth. I had appreciation of the property over time, and then I had that cash flow from my roommates that was coming in. So I started not only saving my money, but also receiving more money because I had another source of income. I had my 9-to-5 job, and then I also had my roommates. And then the next choice that I made was choice number 4 was to buy my first rental property. I had the property that I was living in with my roommates, and I had seen success with one of my really good friends and his real estate investing. So I asked him a lot of questions about investing in real estate. And I had money saved up because I had been doing that over the years, been saving my money. And I knew that I couldn't just leave it sitting in a savings account. I knew I needed to invest that money to make it grow even more so that I could build real wealth. So I purchased my first investment property, and it was really scary. When I purchased my very first property, my own property, that was scary as well. I actually called my real estate agent after talking with someone else, and they were saying, oh, prices are high right now. I don't know if you should be buying. And I had called my agent and talked to him a little bit, and he basically just said, look, Tiffany, this is a good deal. Take it, complete the transaction, buy the property. And I was just really nervous about it. I was scared. There were a lot of thoughts going on in my mind. I was thinking, well, what if the place burns down? Or what if there's a flood? Or just all of these different bad things that could happen? Or what if I can't find roommates to live with me? And as I was thinking through all of these different thoughts, I also took a step back and was able to think, all right, well, that's why you have insurance. If there is a fire or if there is a flood, I can pay my insurance deductible and get things taken care of. And of course, it's not ideal, but there's things in place that I set up in order to help me feel more comfortable with purchasing that first property. So when purchasing my second property, my strictly rental property, it was a little bit easier because I had already purchased one property. But nonetheless, it was scary because it was strictly an investment property. It wasn't going to be a place that I was physically living in. It would be another mortgage that I was going to have to pay, and I would have to make sure there were tenants in there in order to make that mortgage payment for the long term. And after I had purchased that property, that rental property, I got tenants in there and I started collecting cash flow. And honestly, it did take a little while to get my first tenants. I didn't make any updates to the property, and maybe I should have made some updates, but nonetheless, I eventually got someone in there, and that tenant was not ideal. She was late quite a bit with her rent payments. But nonetheless, I am grateful that I made that purchase because I was able to create more wealth for myself because of the appreciation of the property and the rental income that I was receiving. And then plus with my roommate income, I had more money in order to build up my wealth. And then the fifth item, the fifth choice that I made to build real wealth was to buy my first stock on my own. I had a 401k set up with my employer, and I was investing up to the match that they were giving, but I really didn't understand the stock market. I didn't really know what I was investing in or what I should be investing in. And so I wanted to build wealth. So I started researching and learning more about the stock market. And I started asking my friends who were successful with the stock market how they were investing in the stock market and what stocks they were purchasing and why. So I started to create my own thoughts about investing in the stock market. And I was able to purchase my first stock. And honestly, I did not go about this in the best way. I took a recommendation from a random blogger and purchased one share of this stock of this company that I didn't know anything about. And after I made that purchase, I thought, Tiffany, there's a better process that you can use in order to purchase stocks, in order to invest in the stock market. And I started doing more research, and then I decided to invest in companies that I was actually familiar with, that I had either personally used or a lot of my friends were using. And then I started to invest more and more in the stock market, buying individual companies, individual stocks. And I was able to create $5,000 just from one stock. And I have another video about that. I'll leave a link above. You can check it out later on. But nonetheless, I just started investing more and more money in the stock market and becoming more and more familiar with how the stock market works and where I felt comfortable investing my money. And I was able to even double or over more than double my money on some of these investments that I was making in the stock market. So it was way better than keeping my money in a savings account, especially back then, because savings rates were really, really low, maybe 1%. I don't even think they were at 1% at that time. So by keeping my money in a savings, I was not building real wealth. I was just saving my money, not even keeping up with inflation. But like I said, that was kind of the beginning step that helped me be able to build real wealth over time, because I was able to buy that first property, and then I had money to buy a second property, and then I had money to invest in the stock market. And then the sixth choice that I made in order to build real wealth was choosing to continue to invest my money. I didn't just invest one time. I didn't buy my first property and call it quits. I bought another property and then another and then another. And then with investing in the stock market, I bought that first stock. And even though I didn't do it in the best way possible, I still continued to invest. I learned more, and I was able to invest more money in the stock market and get really, really good returns on my investments. And if I just stopped investing, then I would not be a millionaire today. I would not be financially free. I made that choice to continue to invest, even though it wasn't an easy choice to make. It is hard to purchase a property and feel comfortable with purchasing that property, and then purchase another one and another, and continue to invest money in the stock market, especially when people are saying, oh, things are way too high, you shouldn't be investing right now. Or they tell their stories of how their uncle lost all of his retirement, or how people have gone broke by investing in the stock market, things like that. And being able to choose to continue to invest my money has been one of the greatest choices that I've made, because I have been successful, even though I haven't been perfect by any means, but I continue to learn and develop my strategy and share that with you and continue to build up my wealth. And then the seventh choice that I made in order to build real wealth was actually continuing to keep the number one expense of most people really, really low. The number one highest expense of most people. I was able to keep that really, really low, and that is housing. I was able to have roommates, and they were able to help pay my mortgage. And I was able to create extra income actually with the third property that I was living in. I had 3 roommates. They were all upstairs, and then I had the basement to myself. But honestly, with all of their rental income combined, they were paying me $300 every single month to live there. That included my mortgage, the HOA payment, taxes, insurance, even utilities. All of those expenses associated with owning my own home. I was living there not only free, but being paid to live there because I had roommates. And I still continue to have a roommate. I had multiple roommates, but I've chosen to just have one roommate right now because I've paid off 2 of my 3 mortgages. So my housing cost is still essentially free if you're looking at it in that regard. The mortgage on my house that I live in has been paid off. So a lot of people, they are house poor, or they just want to live in a really nice place and they can't really afford it. Or if they can afford it, then they actually aren't putting as much money into investments as they could be if they lived in a place that was lower cost, or even if they had roommates, or if they rented out a basement, something like that. So really take a look at your own expenses and see which expense is your largest and figure out different ways that you can reduce that expense. That is going to make the biggest difference. Because if we're able to save $10 here and there every single month, that's going to be good. But if we're able to save $500 or even $1,000 a month, that is a significant amount of money. And when we are saving that, once we do change our highest expense to be a lot lower, we need to make sure that that money we were spending on that expense is going toward investing, if that's where you are in your financial journey, or it's going to building up an emergency fund, or paying off high interest debt, whatever step you're on in the financial plan. That's where you want to be putting your money. We don't want to just be reducing one expense and then spending that money on something that isn't going to put us closer to financial freedom or put us closer to building real wealth. All right, so those are the 7 choices that I made that helped me build real wealth over time. Comment below and tell me one choice you've made that has helped you build real wealth. And if you are looking for someone to help you build real wealth, make sure and click the link below this video in the description and check out the details for my coaching program. And don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button, and feel free to share this video with anyone else who would be interested. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.